morning, class. I want to start out by letting you know that my name is Mrs. Rosemeyer, and today we're going to work on long division, kind of a review to get into our new unit. The goal is to divide multi-digit whole numbers fluently using the standard algorithm approach. That's our standard by the state of Indiana. All right, we're going to go over this anchor chart before we begin our problem. But before we do that, I want to go over some vocabulary with you. Right here, we have the 2. The 2 in this problem is called, can anybody tell me what it's called? Right, this is the divisor. And then this number right here is called, yes, right, the dividend. All right, so we have the divisor and we have the dividend. And then the answer to our problem, to a division problem, is right up here. And yes, it's called the quotient. So we have our divisor, our dividend, and then our quotient. All right, let's go through this anchor chart before we begin a larger problem. This one's very simple, just to kind of remember the steps that we take when we're doing our long division. The first thing we do is we divide the first number, number 1. All right, so I'm going to take my 2, I'm going to divide it into my 9. All right, 2 will go into 9 4 times. And then we go to step number 2. Step number 2 is multiply. 2 times 4 equals 8. So then I step over here to number 3, and I see my next step is to subtract. So I'm going to say, all right, 9 minus 8 is 1. Okay, and then I go down to step 4. Step 4 tells me to bring down. So I'm going to bring down the next digit in my problem, which is 14. Or 4, I'm sorry. So I've got, then repeat. Step 5 is repeat or remainder. So we go back up here and we say, all right, so 2 will go into 14 how many times? We're dividing, step 1. It will go into 14 7 times. Step 2, I'm going to multiply again. So 2 times 7 is 14. So now I've got 14 minus 14, that's step 3, to subtract. 14 minus 14 is 0. Step 4, bring down. I bring down my 7, and then I repeat, step 5. Step 1, one more time, we're going to say, all right, divide 2 into 7. If I do that, I get 3. 3 times 2, step 2 is multiply, is 6. Subtract is step 3. So 7 minus 6 is 1. Step 4 is bring down. Nothing else to bring down. Step 5 is repeat or remainder. I have a 1 left over, so we're going to put an R for remainder and then 1. So the quotient, or the answer to our problem, is 473, remainder 1. All right? So those are our 5 steps that we want to remember when we're doing our long division. We want to divide, we want to multiply, we want to subtract, we want to bring down, and then we want to repeat or put our remainder. All right, now we're going to come over here and we are going to do a little bit harder of a problem together and give us lots of opportunities to practice those 5 steps. All right, so we have 659, and do you remember what that, wait a minute, let me put this in here first. Okay, there we go. So this is the number on the outside. Do you remember what that's called? Divisor. Very good. This is the divisor. All right, and then I'm going to put this number in 567,894, and this number is called, yes, this is the dividend. All right, so now we're going to go step by step through this problem several times until we find the quotient or the answer. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see. Now, 659, will that go into 5? No. 659, will it go into 56? No. Will 659 go into 567? No. All right, so we have 659, will that go into 5,678? Yes. Yes, it will go into there. Now, this is where it gets tricky. This is a trial and error that we have to go through with long division. The best thing that I like to do when I'm doing a problem is I like to do some rounding. All right, so we see that we have 5,678, and then we have 659. So if we wanted to round this number, maybe we could round it to 700. We could round it to that. This number, 5,678, we might round that to, maybe we'd round it to, let's see, maybe 6,000. We could do 5,600, but I mean, just looking at that problem, if you know your multiplication tables, which is super helpful when we're doing these division problems, is knowing the multiplication tables. We could say, if we did 5,600, which we probably have to do at least 5,700 to round it, 7 times 8 would give us 56. And I think that 7 times 8 would be too small for this problem. So since I'm thinking that, maybe I would just go ahead and try the 9. So I would try a 9 to start out with. So over to the side of our paper, we're going to write our dividend, 659 times 9. Okay, to see what we get when we do that. So 9 times 9 is 81. All right? And then 9 times 5 is 45 plus 8 would be 53. 9 times 6 is 54 plus 5 is 59. All right? So that's 5,931. That is too big. So I need to go backwards and try multiplying it by 8. So I'm going to multiply it by 8 and see what I get. All right, so I have 9 times 8, which is 72. So I put down my 2 and I carry my 7. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 7 is 47. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 4 is 52. All right? So 8 is going to work. Now, here's another part where we have to be really careful. Because we had to go all the way over to the 8 here, we have to remember to put that first number right up here, all right? So that's going to be an 8. An 8 is going to go right there for our quotient, the first one. All right? So Oops, I just erased that. Let me see here. I think I wrote it down. Yes. 5. So this was 5,272. So once again, make sure when you write your number underneath another number that you line those numbers up, because that's where we make mistakes sometimes. All right, so we're going to subtract. All right, we did our divide and we did our multiply. And now the step 3 is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract. All right, 8 minus 2 is 6. 7 minus 7 is 0. 6 minus 2 is 4. And then 5 minus 5 would be 0. All right, so now let's see where I am. My bring down, I'm on my step 4. So let's bring down this 9 right here. Sometimes you can draw like an arrow to help you kind of keep things straight and in line. All right, now we have 659 and we want to divide that into 4,069. Step 1 again. Okay, so let's look at this. 659, so honestly, I'm just going to look at that and say, okay, this is like a 7 to me, a 7, and I look at this number right here, and that's like a 41, all right? So how many times would 7 go into 41? Let's see. I might even try 7. No, I think I'm going to try 6. I'm going to try 6. Let's do the multiply next. We'll take our divisor and we're going to multiply that times 6 to see if we can get close to this number. Like I said, this is trial and error. We're just trying to find what number we think might work. So we've got 9 times 6, which is 54. Put down my 4, carry my 5. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. 6 times 6, 36, plus 3 is 39. Okay, so let's look and see. Yes, that is going to work out perfectly. So I'm going to take this 6 right here. I'm going to put the 6 above the 9 in my quotient. I'm going to take this number that I just got when I multiplied, and I'm going to put it underneath the 4,069. Okay? And we're on to step 3, which is to subtract. Okay, so let me erase that, get that out of the way. And then we're going to subtract, make sure the numbers are lined up again. All right, we get 9 minus 4, which is 5. 6 minus 5, which is 1. And then 40 minus 39, which is 1. All right? Now, I've got my remainder here. Or not my, well, that's what's left so far. But I have to bring down again. I have one more number to bring down. So I'm going to draw my arrow and I'm going to bring down my 4, okay? And now this should be our last time that we have to go through our steps. So step number 1, we want to divide. How many times will 659 go into 1,154? Okay, now if we doubled that number, we would get 12. We would get more than 1,300. So we know that that will only go into this number one time. So I'm going to try 1. I'm going to put the 1 above my 4. All right, so I just have to put 659 right here. And we're going to subtract. So I'm going to borrow from my 5, make that a 4, make the 4 a 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. I'm going to borrow from this one, make that a 0, and then I'm going to make that 4 a 14. So I have 14 minus 5, which is 9. And then I have 10 minus 6, which is 4. So I put this right here is my remainder because I don't have any more numbers to bring down. All right, so the answer is going to be 861 with a remainder of 495. Now, if we want to make sure this is correct, then we just come over here and we'd write 659 times 861. We multiply this out. 9 times 1 is 9. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. Put our placeholder in. We've got 6 times 9, 54. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 is 39. All right, then we'll put in 2 placeholders. We've got 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 7 is 47. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 4 is 52. All right? And then we add our numbers. Make sure you line those numbers up correctly. We get 9, 9, 6 and 5 is 11, plus 2 is 13. Then we've got 1 and 9 is 10, plus 7 is 17. 1 and 3 and 2 is 6. And 5. And then don't forget to add in your remainder. So 495, I'm going to add that on here. I'm going to add it on. And that will give us a 4. And then that's a 9. And then 8. And 7, 6, and 5. All right, let's see. 567,894. So these two numbers match. So I know that I got my problem correct. All right, now that we've had several opportunities to go through our 5 steps, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. I have a worksheet for each of you to do just a couple problems right now together so that if you have any questions or any problems, you can ask me about that before you start tonight's homework. Thank you.